Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Well, today we are doing another distro wars. We're going to compare two Debian-based distributions today. So both of these are good distributions for running Debian, which have a little bit better, certainly better theming, certainly better tools. They basically will both take a basic Debian and make it a little bit easier for a new person who is looking to switch to Linux. Of course, we are talking about MX Linux and Linux Mint Debian Edition. So, of course, Linux Mint has the Ubuntu base and they have the LMDE or the Debian-based edition. And we'll go ahead and have a look at these guys here. So the MX website, mxlinux.org, this guy here refreshes itself a couple times a year. It has some basic system tools in it to do very simple things. You have Debian based on XFCE. They have some excellent theming and a lot of really good tools. They do have a 32 and 64-bit versions of it. And if you're looking for a distro where the developer will jump on in and a little bit more approachable, MX Linux is definitely a little bit better in that respect. The Linux Mint team is excellent. They do really good at their jobs, but they don't jump around onto various videos and things like that. It's just not really what they do. But you will find Run with the Dolphin, who runs MX Linux, running around, and that's really cool. If you're looking, particularly if you're on a YouTube video looking for help with something, it's very possible he's going to see it and comment on it and help out with it, which is very good. Linux Mint has a really good forums to help you with that kind of stuff as well, which MX Linux also has a forum too. So the current release, MX 19.2. This is, of course, based on the XFCE desktop. So if you're looking for a lighter of experience between the two, MX Linux is probably going to be a little bit lighter. And everything else, it's going to be mostly Debian. However, they have a few package changes. One of the coolest ones is that they do have the current version of Firefox. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Linux Mint Debian Edition still runs Firefox ESR, which is what the default is for Debian. So you can grab the downloads, and there's the direct download button over there, and you can come over here. There's old files, snapshots, old snapshots. So you can come on and find the one that you're looking for here, dig through here. You can see here's 64-bit, there's 32s, and then there's a variety of different things inside of there. Now, Linux Mint, linuxmint.com, you want to head on over to downloads in LMDE 4. This is the current build based on Debian 10. They have the 64 and 32-bit. You only have a single option, and that is the Cinnamon desktop. You can grab your release notes, download it from any of the mirrors across the world, or grab a torrent file. And then you're going to have a better, more familiar, more Windows-like experience. And that is what some people might want, the more Windows-like experience. It would be easier for them to go with the Linux Mint Debian Edition. If you're not as concerned about that and you want something a little bit more streamlined, MX Linux might be your better go-to place. So what we're going to do here is we are going to jump on over to MX Linux, and as soon as we're ready for that, we'll be back. All right, so here we are on the MX Linux desktop. So you are greeted with a very nice startup tool the first time you run it, and it will continue to run until you uncheck this box over here. One of the things about Linux based on Debian is that it rarely has codecs installed, and unlike the Ubuntu-based versions, it doesn't give you the option to install codecs on the install. So what they've given you here is a button right here for codecs. You enter in your root password, and then it's going to install them. I'm going to cancel this because I've already actually installed those. It's very simple. Hit the button, enter your password, and you are good to go. You also can do tweaks on the panel. So if you do want a more Windows type experience, you can just go ahead and change it like that. Hey, I mean, yeah, that was easy. Let's go back to the way that they ship it, though, just for the purpose of the illustration. Now, we do have the installation process. The installation process is very similar on both of these, and I actually have videos about those, so I'll go ahead and link the install process so you can kind of see how that is in a separate video there. But they're both very easy. MX Linux has more options. Things like how do you configure the clock? Is it set in 24-hour or 12-hour time? by default. They'll have a few other little odds and ends that are really nice touches that you don't get in most other Linux distributions. So it does a really good job with that. The other thing that we have is, in addition to FAQs, user manuals, and things, we do have right on the welcome screen, we have a tools system. And the tools here are all MX tools that make managing your computer a breeze. This is actually something that even your Linux Mint computers do not generally have. Now, if you keep the ISO laying around of the latest versions of Linux Mint, it will have boot repair options on that ISO, but they are not installed to your system. And some people say that that's probably a better choice, because if you can't boot into your system, boot repair is not exactly going to help you, is it? You know. But you do have the ability to make simple snapshots, which are like all in one, hey, a snapshot of absolutely everything. You can do live USB creation, various cleanup options, set boot menus, manage your users, edit your menus, install NVIDIA drivers, install your codecs again over here, date and time. Here's your welcome screen, the various tweaks we looked at. Conky, that's the guy over here that gives us our memory usage and things. Repo manager, package installers, and things like that. So the tools that you get with MX Linux are absolutely excellent. You also have a popular apps package. This is something that you're not going to find in Linux Mint. It's basically a streamlined, very simple, easy to use and understand package manager, which just covers the most frequently used packages. So over here, Audacity, audio, we have Audacious, Audacity, Dead Beef, never seen Dead Beef before, Google Music Manager, just Spotify, a variety of other things. And we have a variety of web browsers. One of the few that will easily allow you to install Brave. It'll allow you to install Firefox ESR if you want it. Google Chrome, Pale Moon, WaterFox. Excellent options on browsers here. You can create children. Oh, never mind. You can install children applications over here. Very good. And desktop environments. If you do want other desktop environments other than this, it doesn't have every desktop environment out there easily, but it does give you another base. So if you wanted to run something like Budgie, or you want to run, a GNOME or whatever else, or a Plasma, you can go ahead and do that. Just go ahead and come into here, hit the check button, install, and enter. I think you don't have to enter your password again because we've already done it. And everything's going to be there. A lot of nice tools over there. We do have stable repos, test repos, Debian backports, and even a section for Flatpaks built into the system. Now, Linux Mint does support Flatpaks out of the box, and so that also will work with your Flatpaks as well. So that's something that both systems are going to have. And I'm not sure if we have snaps built in by default in MX Linux. I just don't know for sure. I'm sure it's going to be easy to install. This guy here, it's either still updating a repository, or there it is. Okay, I was going to say, I wasn't sure if it was going or not. So here you can actually come down here and look for anything that you want in a Flatpak. And as long as you know what you're looking for, or you can go ahead and probably search for something. So there's GIMP. Kdenlive is often used as a Flatpak. Let's see if Discord is in here. Yep, Discord's in here as a Flatpak. So there's so many options over here. Thank you, pop-up. You just gave me another thing I was forgetting about. It will give you updates, system updates. So it does tell us we have 227 updates available to install. We can go ahead and pull this guy up over here, and it gives you a very simple upgrade path. It's going to tell you what there is. You can automatically answer yes to all prompts. You can close the window when it's done. You can reload it as well. So very nice options for a new user. Everything works well off of the desktop, and there's our logout stuff. Here's our basic menu. As far as applications installed, we're not going to run through all those. It gives you just your basic system tools and just a few other odds and ends in there as well. Full LibreOffice suites. We have basic Firefox. This one here has your basic Firefox, not your Firefox ESR. So they do add a lot of extra repos, a lot of extra tools, making MX Linux just an excellent, excellent distribution. So we're going to go ahead and pause here and come on back on Linux Mint Debian Edition next. And here we are on Linux Mint Debian Edition. So when you first boot up Linux Mint Debian Edition, you do get this welcome screen here. We have a series of first steps. So they're going to walk you through a few things. First is system snapshots. So your system snapshots behaves like the old Windows restore point. So it saves a backup of the functional system, but it does not save a backup of your individual files. So that's actually a good service there. We have a button right here to install your multimedia codecs. So you can go ahead and install your codecs there. We have the update manager, which will give us the ability to install your updates. And you can choose between a modern layout and the more traditional layout. And I actually like the look of the modern layout, but I like the functionality of the traditional. So I actually just tweaked the modern layout to behave like the traditional. And then we have system settings, software manager, and firewall right inside of here. So there's not quite as many tools as you find in MX, but you do have enough to run as a full basic system. So with this, let's go ahead and close this guy out. Let's have a look at the update manager first. So it will give you a notification. It doesn't generally pop up a pop-up notification like it did on MX, but it does give you the option here to give you a good visual cue. You're going to see a few different options down here. If it's a shield with the blue circle, it means there's updates available. If it's a shield with a green check mark, it says all updates are installed. If it is a shield with a red X, it means it cannot reach the update server to check for updates. So over here, you want to go ahead and hit your OK button, and then it's going to have your system. In this case here, it's asking us, do we want to switch to a local mirror or not? I'm just going to go ahead and say no. And if I actually refresh my cache, then it's going to want to install some updates. And so with this, you can see it's downloading package information. It's probably going to want me to update the update manager before it shows me the updates. That's usually a quick update. So I'm going to go ahead and allow that to do its thing. And let's go ahead and leave that over there for just a second. While that finishes doing, is it coming? Yeah, it says it's 9 hours to download, but no, it's doing a little bit better. There we go. We went from 9 hours to 11 seconds. We've been streaming for a long time, guys. Whew. Man, that's a long stream. That was an 11-hour stream. All right. I was having a hard time getting there. Maybe I should have switched to a local mirror. I don't know. All right. So while it's doing that, let's go ahead and have a look at our basic applications. You can see it's very similar to MX Linux. Doesn't give us much more than a few basic simple system tools, which includes things like USB stick writers. We don't have a system imager that MX Linux had. We do have the full LibreOffice suite. We have a variety of other options in there as well. As far as our system settings, you can come over into your system settings and you can adjust your backgrounds, effects, our themes. We have a variety of other items here, including you can change and move your panels around, although it's not quite as simple as the checkbox, but it's still fairly simple. You just want to come on down here. You want to turn the panel into edit panel move. And then if I remember, if you hit the move panel, you got this view here, and then you can go ahead and just click on the side where you want the panel to go. So now you'll actually get your panel to move over there. So that's kind of how you can do the same thing. If you do like that MX Linux setup panel on the side, you can go ahead and do that. Let's see if that update's done yet. There it is. All right, so here on your updates on Linux Mint, it'll give you the updates all in a list. One of the things I like this is if there is an individual package that's either going to give you problems or you want to hold it back because you're in the middle of a project and you just don't want it to update or anything, you just don't want any surprises, you can actually uncheck it. And then you can install updates, and it's going to install everything except that one update. That's something you do not have with MX. If you right-click, you have the option to ignore the current update or ignore all future updates for the package as well. So there are a lot of other items there. Now, we don't have right here on Linux Mint Debian Edition, we don't have the kernel adjustments as we had in the Ubuntu version. You can still change your kernel. It's just a little bit harder of a task. And let's see, what else did I want to cover here? As far as applications, our software manager. So the software manager in Linux Mint is one of the best, in my opinion. It does have, when you do a search, it's going to tell you if it's coming from the repository or from the Flatpak. Or if you just click the Flatpak button, it's going to just give you things related to the Flatpak. So if I come over here, for example, and do a Kden Live and search for Kden Live, we should actually see two of them. We have the older one, which is from the repo. And since this is Debian, it's going to be quite a bit of an older version. And we can get, it's version 18. So actually, I wouldn't have any qualms about using that one. I'm not a fan of some of the things that they did in the absolute latest version, which is going to be a 19 or 20 branch. It's a 20 branch. I'm not a huge fan of the changes in the 20 branch, so I might not want to do that one, but at least I have the option to choose, and I can very quickly see which one we happen to be dealing with, whether it's the repo or inside of the Flatpak options. We don't have the very simple system that we had in the in MX Linux, but you can see that this is actually about as simple as it is anyway, and this has all of the applications. Anything that's not included in the simple app installer on MX, you're going to have to go into Synaptic Package Manager for that. So over here, we have a little bit better handling of your general packages. Our Firefox, I think this is going to be Firefox ESR. Let's go ahead and boot up Firefox and see for sure. I'm pretty sure it's Firefox ESR. Ooh, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. Okay, yes. So you can see extended support release. So this is running Firefox ESR, which basically is a long-term support LTS for Firefox. If you do want or need the latest and greatest Firefox, MX Linux gives you the option of both Firefox Current and Firefox ESR. This is just giving you the Firefox ESR. But you actually can go in there and install the other one manual ways as well. So as far as the two are concerned, they're really evenly matched in my opinion. As far as which one is going to be the better, I'm not really going to declare an absolute victory. I love my Linux Mint, and I actually like the layout and the work and the function of Cinnamon way better than I like the function of MX Linux. For me, it just feels much better. It feels more comfortable. It feels more modern. And if I do want to do things like integrate my Nextcloud instance into it, Linux Mint actually gives me the ability to do that, whereas MX Linux does not. If I need something for more of a lightweight computer or a lower end or just something that's not quite as beefy or powerful, MX Linux is definitely your way to go. If you are looking for something with a lot of system restore tools because you want to tinker around and you might break something, MX is probably going to be the better place to go. If you're looking for just a basic daily driver that's just as comfortable as Windows is because you're looking to switch to Linux, you definitely want to do the Linux Mint Debian Edition. Those are my thoughts about which distributions are, how these two relate. Let me know your thoughts and let me know all of the fun things that I missed in the comments down below.